Billy back here with Broship of the Nerds, and I finally sat down today and watched WWE Evolution. Now, I'm a day behind due to work schedule, working this weekend, so I was finally able to sit down uh, today, Monday morning, and watch it, and then I finished it this afternoon. And I wasn't sure, I took some notes here. I wasn't sure what the match order was going to be going into it, but I liked the way they did it. They kicked off with Becky defending the Women's Intercontinental Championship against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Now, Lyra was the inaugural champion earlier this year, and the belt meant something because she defeated the likes of Dakota Kai, um, Ivy Nile, and I was at St. Louis when she defeated Becky, and the first time they went one on one. And then Becky eventually beat her and they had this triple threat match. Oh my gosh. WWE lately has been on a roll with triple threat matches. I used to not be the biggest fan of them because it just seemed like the matches were not as entertaining. There would be two people that you liked more than the other one, or two people would be higher up, and the third one that was there just to take the pin. In this matchup, it could have gone either way, and I wouldn't have been mad. You got Becky, the man, defending her belt against Bayley, the workhorse of WWE, against Lyra, who was a fighting champion. So, and the storylines were really good heading into this match because, Becky cost Bayley the match of Mania, and then Lyra and Becky had feuded before, and Becky and Bayley were mad at each other. And then Lyra and Bayley were getting into it because Lyra cost Bayley a chance at winning on Raw one week. So this triple threat going in was like, okay, what's going to happen here? The three of these women fought their asses off, went out there and put on an amazing match. Actually, this was one of the best matches of the night. I'll say it was top two. I mean, every match on this card going in was like, wow, but this is probably the match I was really looking forward to out of the gate were these three. Becky, I've liked her as soon as, I mean, even before when she was the first SmackDown Women's Champion, and then the man thing started. I was actually there. The irony is, I was there right after she broke her face. I was on SmackDown to announce who her replacement was. I was there that night, and I had never, ever seen the crowd get that loud. Everybody was on their feet when she came out to the ring. So there was something special there. Still is. She's a heel right now, but Becky's incredible. Then you have Bayley, who is sometimes underappreciated for being the workhorse that she is, constantly putting people over, helping people learn, making them better, just great in the ring. She can sell, but it's like Steve Austin said, she doesn't oversell. She knows when to um, just the right amount to sell. And then you have Lyra, who's won me over as a fan just with her work ethic. That woman goes out there and puts on incredible matches, great athleticism, cool entrance, awesome wings for that. So, anyways, these three women, it went back and forth, and they would break up pins. I loved the Bayley breaking up a pin with the elbow drop, and then Lyra breaking up a pin as well. I really liked the styles that these three worked. They went back and forth, a lot of quick pin attempts and false finishes that were in a normal one-on-one match would have ended the match, but the timing, you have to be so precise with your timing in a triple threat to make it believable, and these three women over-delivered. Becky retains here. This was just a phenomenal match. I could watch Becky, Bayley, and Lyra every week. I mean, seriously, they're just that good. But yeah, this was a great way to kick off the show. The crowd was into it the whole night, and they were really into this match. Next up was kind of a wild card matchup. JC Jane defending the NXT Women's Championship against Jordan Grace. Now, JC Jane, of course, had her two partners at ringside, and Jordan Grace had Blake Monroe with her, the latest acquisition for WWE. And this match was really, on paper, Jordan should easily win because how muscular she is. But JC put up a fight. They went back and forth. There were some distractions from JC Jane's allies. And then Blake Moreau hit Jordan with the belt to cost her the match. So Blake and Jordan are definitely going to be feuding. That'll help establish Blake Monroe on the WWE roster. And this was a good match, but it wasn't one of those you're going to remember for years. You're going to remember it more for Blake Monroe hitting Jordan Grace with the belt. That's what is going to amount to. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you can't have every match be the biggest barn burn whenever you're going to have storylines being set up. So this was okay. JC Jane retains due to the help of the belt shot, and then JC Jane hit her move and got the 1-2-3 here to retain the WWE, the NXT, I should say, Women's Championship. Next up was a fatal four-way match. This was for the Women's Tag Team Championship, which historically, not the best record. You had the Kabuki Warriors from Raw, Zarya and Sol Ruka from NXT, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss from SmackDown against Raquel Rodriguez and the Prodigy Roxanne Perez. Now, going into this, Raquel and Liv Morgan were the tag team champions. Liv, however, had a shoulder injury, so Roxanne was allowed to be her partner if they were to defend against three other teams. And their first time teaming together, let's just talk about each team. Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. We know they're great in the ring. We know they're going to bring it. Love the paint of Asuka. She's got one of the coolest looks. I like when she goes on her offensive striking blitz where she just hits all these strikes, does the spinning back arm and the kicks. She's just incredible in the ring. And Kairi Sane's been on fire. Zarya, I'd only seen a handful of times in NXT. Same thing with Sol Ruka, but I know they were going to bring the excitement because Sol Ruka is just an incredible athlete and Zarya's got power. Charlotte and Alexa, of course. Charlotte being one of the most decorated wrestlers of all time, and Alexa Bliss being a fan favorite with just an incredible comeback here. And then they went up against Raquel and the Prodigy. And going into this, I liked it because you have the tall muscle and the shorter feisty woman that really is kind of a wild card. So because Roxanne really has done a lot so far and she's so young still. This was a fatal four-way. Normally, not the biggest fan of fatal four-ways. Problem is, especially when you have 8 people involved, getting everyone a chance to actually wrestle is tough because pacing and knowing when to tag in and out. But they did a good job here. I wrote hell of a match. Everyone got a chance to wrestle, which is tough for that. Going in, of course, I was biased. My favorite women's wrestler is Roxanne Perez, the Prodigy. So I was definitely pulling for her. And this honestly felt amazing because Sol Ruka's move, just incredible. Her move set, just absolutely ridiculous. And Zarya at one point accidentally speared Sol Ruka. She was going to spear someone else, and I believe she was going to spear Alexa, and Charlotte pulled her out of the way. And she ends up spearing her own partner, Sol Ruka. And Roxanne and Raquel get the win here. I was so happy. I've been waiting for her to get a big win because it's like they gave her the longest time in the Women's Royal Rumble match, but it just seems like they don't give her that many wins. So I was so happy to see Roxanne and Raquel win this matchup. It's going to be interesting to see how long they hold these belts for, if they hold them until Liv gets back, and then we see the storyline there. So, hell of a match for a Fatal 4-Way. The excitement was crazy. A lot of high-flying moves, a lot of dives, like through the middle ropes, off the top rope, finishes, tag-ins. It was just perfect. Next up, we had Hall of Famer Trish Stratus challenging Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's Championship. Trish can still go. This match did not overstay its welcome. It wasn't a half hour or anything, but it wasn't too short either. It was like the perfect length to show that Trish could still put on a good match. And Tiffany has earned her spot as a main eventer. This was awesome. Trish at one point hit her Stratusfaction. If you were to tell me, because I grew up watching her, if you were to tell me she was like close to 50 or whatever she is, I would be like, you're lying. If I hadn't grown up with her, because Trish has stayed in incredible ring shape. For someone that doesn't get in the ring as much as like the regular competitors, she can still go. It's like riding a bike. She just is that good. This was back and forth. The nostalgia, same thing with Saturday night's main event with Goldberg. There's an excitement when they hit the ring. Trish comes out, there's an excitement. She's great. One of the all-time greats, 7-time women's champion. She comes up short against Tiffany, but this was a great way to put over Tiffany, and Trish looked good doing it. Trish said this might be her last match, but we'll see because I could see her still being like in a Rumble or something, but I really thought this was a great match for Tiffany. It's still Tiffy time. Next up, we had Naomi against Jade Cargill in a no holds barred match. I like that they started outside of the ring. It felt personal the way they did that. They started on the outside of the ring, just beating the hell out of each other. Back and forth we go. And of course, it makes sense because Jade is taller, stronger than Naomi, but Naomi is doing great character work. So these two went back and forth. They had a hell of a fight without overdoing it. I wrote that down because a lot of times in modern wrestling, you see people kicking out of things that are unbelievable. You know, they get hit with crazy weapon combination and like a big DDT into the chair, and they still kick out. They did not do that in this match. This match did not overstay its welcome. They didn't overdo it, and in the end, Jade goes over. But the biggest thing for me was starting on the outside of the ring. I loved the way they did that because Bianca was the guest referee. As soon as they started hitting on the outside of the ring, she rang the bell. And this was a good match. Next, we had a 20-woman battle royal with the number one contendership for Clash in Paris to see who would get a championship match there. What was really cool was Nikki Bella coming out there. Seeing her in a battle royal, you can let her work and show what she can do without getting her hurt. The one thing I will say, as a fan, I've always loved battle royals because it's so exciting to see so many people in the ring. But logistically, it has to be a nightmare, right? Because you have to have enough room in the center of the ring for different spots to happen. So, you know, that would be tough because you have to be standing all fighting in corners as 2 people, 3 people have a moment in the center of the ring or on one side. So you have to clear enough room for people to work. So when it gets down to like 10 or less, it becomes easier because then you naturally have more room in the ring and you can do more spots. But when you start out with 20, it's tough. Going into this match, I honestly was not sure who was all going to be in this, if there were going to be any late additions, like surprises, legends, that sort of thing. And I'm glad they only did 20 because you got more people on the card, like, you know, Michin, Lash Legend was in here. You had Nikki Bella, you had Nia Jax, Maxine Dupree, Natalia. You had a lot of different people in there. And what it came down to Nia, Stephanie Vecchio, and Lash Legend. I was actually pretty shocked whenever Nia went out and it came down to Lash Legend against Stephanie Vecchio. I'm glad Stephanie won though because the thing is, it's so interesting. She has the horns. Love to see her and Lyra because you'd have the wings and the horns. But anyways, she has the really cool horns, really cool looking makeup, a very unique presence, and an incredible move set. What was really awesome was it came down to Stephanie and Lash Legend, and Vecchio uses Devil Kiss on the apron to win because she hits the Devil's Kiss, and then Lash Legend gets eliminated from that. That was really cool. I'm very happy that Stephanie won because, like I said, she just has this presence that you buy into, right? She's believable and she's a star. And she's going to be at the top of the division sooner rather than later. I'm hoping she does win her title opportunity because Stephanie is awesome. This was good for Battle Royal. Like I said, logistically has to be a nightmare because of all the spots you have to do. But as a fan, getting to see all these different people, you have some underrated ones like Michin, Ivy Nile in there. And then you have some that deserve where they're at, like Stephanie and Nia. But yeah, Stephanie gets the win here, and she will be getting a championship match. Then, our main event, Rhea Ripley challenged Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. Going into this, Rhea had never beat Io one-on-one. I like the way they did this. I wrote down speed versus strength. So you have the speed of Io, the strength of Rhea Ripley, and those two styles, they can put on a phenomenal match if given the right producing, right? If you can get those styles, they can mesh really, really well. Because like Rey Mysterio has done great matches with bigger guys. Same thing with Io. Io is sometimes I feel like Io is slept on. She is one of the best wrestlers that they have right now, the best in the world. She is so good in the ring. And I love when she does the emote thing and oh my gosh, she emotes out. But Io and Rhea, I was excited for this match. This is another one of those matches that I could watch every week and not be burnt out that easily because they can do so many different things. I wrote down some things here as the match was going along. Like I said, I love the styles. I like that Rhea went for submissions because it makes sense. Because if you're Rhea and you have strength, you need to take away the speed from Io Sky. So by doing submissions, you're making it harder for her to move. She slows down some. So that was really cool. The reversals were insane here. The timing on both Io and Rhea to be able to reverse in the manner in which they did was just incredible. The crazy thing, this was crazy. Rhea hits the Razor's Edge, a powerbomb, and Io kicked out barely at 2. And normally I wouldn't believe it, but it is Io. Io's just on another level right now, so that was awesome. Io went for that double drop kick off the top rope, the springboard, and then she does the double kick drop kick. She missed Rhea and actually accidentally hit referee Jessica Carr, I should say. And then Rhea hit the riptide, but the referee was outside of the ring down, no one to count. So then the fight spills out into the audience. And at one point, Io climbs up on top of some trunks that are stacked up and hits the crossbody on Rhea onto the floor. That was an incredible spot. And they really gave it their all in this match. I mean, you could just tell they were giving it everything they had to entertain the crowd and to put on an amazing main event. Io hits the moonsault off the top rope, Rhea kicks out. And then Rhea hits a Spanish fly. Both women are down, and Naomi comes in. She's added to the match with her cash in, and Naomi is your new women's world champion as she got the cash in. Absolutely deserved. Naomi came back, I remember at the Rumble, and it just felt like she was sort of just there, kind of lost in the shuffle. They changed her character up, and she put the work in to get over organically. So I love that about her. This show, overall, amazing. And that's the thing, you don't have to have a lot of title changes in order to put on a good show. Let's go back here and see, shall we? Becky retained. JC retained, but you set up an incredible story there. Roxanne and Raquel retain. Tiffany retains. Jade Cargill wins. Stephanie Vakir wins. And then Naomi wins. So Naomi's your one new champion. And I like that. I like that they didn't try to change. Excuse me. They didn't try to change too many championships. This was a very exciting show. This would have been one that I would have wanted to have been at because it was very fun. Green shirt guy was there in the crowd. Yes, I saw that. It just makes you appreciate modern wrestling with how much they can do. Sometimes you can make the case that they do too much and they kick out of too many things, sure, but then it's also just the way the style works today. I give this a double thumbs up. This was a great show. There weren't any bad matches. There might have been some matches that were not as long, but that was because that was intentional, and the show still went 3 hours. So the pacing of this was great because normally, right, Triple H does the old NXT formula that he did: 5 matches, 2.5 hours. Now with this, 7 matches, and you still feel like there could have been other matches, but I will say, based on what we saw, the rosters are stacked, right? Raw, SmackDown, NXT, women's rosters, absolutely loaded. There are so many people on Raw and SmackDown that are your top ones that are just great. Then you have those ones that are so close to being top level that they just need like one more little thing to fall into place, one timing, whatever, and then they're going to be there. And then you have the ones that are still either underappreciated by the fans, underutilized, or they just can't come up with like a storyline or feud for them. But like Chelsea Green, she's so close to being a main event, like women's world champion or women's championship on SmackDown. She's so close. And then you have people like Michin, where it's like, what do you do with them? They're good in the ring, but it's hard to get a story going for them. So yeah, double thumbs up for this show. I was impressed by the action and the storylines. The future is bright. You got Stephanie Vakir is the future of the division. You have the prodigy Roxanne Perez. I mean, Sol Ruca. And then you have current stars like Bailey and Becky, Lyra. It's just, where do you go with all these people, right? Like, how do you have the time to make sure everyone gets into the shows? It's just, it could be a good problem if you know what you're doing, but it could also be a bad problem if people aren't seen on TV for weeks at a time. So the women's division stacked. The legends coming in, I like the way they did the legends in the crowd. You had like Jazz, Molly Holly, Ivory, Jacqueline. I mean, just awesome. And then Cole, Michael Cole was like, yeah, Candice Michelle eliminated from the Battle Royal, but it is Candice LeRae. I thought, but it's easy to do because Michael Cole is called, if you think of how long he's been there and how many different wrestlers he's called so much. I can understand when someone has the same first name getting the last name mixed up. But yeah, I enjoyed this. The only thing I will give, and this is constructive criticism, great show. I just wish they would have had more time to have built it. It did feel like some of the matches came together last minute, so I wish they would have had a little more time to have let it breathe a little bit more and to have like build the feuds. But other than that, it was a really good show, and I'm very happy with it. So yeah. Well, that's all I've got today, guys. Um, hope you're doing well, and yeah, and I'll be back soon with some more videos. So take care.